I've analyzed over 300 coaching funnels at this point, and one thing I keep noticing is that smaller creators usually use organic as their entire lead generation strategy, which sounds fine in theory until you realize that trying to get clients from a small audience using just organic is painfully slow. The creators who scale the fastest are never using just organic as their sole lead generation strategy. They're always using something else to supplement it, like paid ads, cold outreach, or warm outreach, meaning their content is not there to generate all of the leads. It's just there to make every other lead source convert better. Warm outreach converts better, cold outreach converts better, paid ads convert better. Everything quite literally is multiplied if you have a good organic following. Because instead of discovering you and people instantly getting pitched because it's an ad, they get their own time to nurture themselves, watch your value, and then finally decide to actually work with you. But this only really works if you're using a specific system that everybody in this space, the big dogs in the space, are using to scale to $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 per month consistently within info. Now, I know that a lot of people in this space want me to keep this secret because obviously they don't want any more competition, but I don't gatekeep on this channel. So take out your notepad, note this down, take action on it, because if you don't take action on it, you won't actually get any value from this, no matter what the hell I tell you to do or what the hell I actually reveal to you. So without any further ado, let's get into the actual breakdown of the micro niche platform funnel. Just as some more social proof, this is the exact system I've used to scale these guys all the way to $100,000 months, $40,000 months, $10,000 months, all the way from zero. And every single one of these clients came to me with less than 2,000 followers. So this system works no matter where you are in terms of your audience or organic audience right now. You just need to actually implement this for it to get you results. Now, first off, let me break down the entire system on a high level, the architecture behind it. First off, we have Instagram as the traffic source. This is the top of funnel that gets engagement, or sorry, it gets the actual views and eyeballs. What happens is that people will follow and engage with your Instagram and then eventually come onto your profile, where they're going to go ahead and be converted eventually into the bio link. And this bio link is going to take them to right here on your YouTube, which is going to be a undercover VSL. Now, I'll get into all of this and explaining how to make all of this in a moment. But in this VSL, there's going to be a CTA to book a call. We're going to check if they're qualified. If they're qualified, we eventually get them to actually hop on the calendar. Now, this system, it may sound simple, but this is everything you need to get from zero to $20,000 to $50,000 per month in info. Obviously, if you want to scale beyond that, you'll need a few more things, but this is easily going to get you to those 5-figure months. Now, you may be wondering, Kamil, why the hell do I need an entire complicated system? Why can't one of my platforms just do all of the work? Well, it's all because of IG, right? IG and YouTube are two sides of the same coin in the sense that they are very much opposites in some ways, but they're very similar. They both need to work together to get you to what's called the 7-11-4 threshold. Now, the 7-11-4 threshold is exactly what you need to hit before somebody actually buys from you. And it is defined as people need to watch 7 hours of your content across 11 different touch points across 4 different locations for them to actually buy something from you, a high ticket offer. IG physically cannot get you there because you would need to watch hundreds of Instagram reels for that to happen, which would take years and years and years for a client to actually get through that. YouTube fills that gap, right? It fills that gap that IG can never fill, in the sense that it has long ass videos that can stretch up to even an hour or 2 hours long, very, very easily, right? People will put on a 5-hour breakdown or a 7-hour breakdown while cooking, driving, doing stuff, and just keep watching it over the next few days. Even if you're making 30-minute long videos like this one, easily somebody's going to binge through your YouTube, and within a few days they'll be able to watch, 7 to 8 or 9 or 10 of your videos and easily hit that 7-hour mark. Because by the time they finish one video, the sale is basically done in their head. That is the exact bio link's job. It basically just sends warm IG followers into the YouTube for that nurturing to occur. So after we're done with this, right, this is the architecture behind it, but you need to get into the nitty gritty of what exactly you need to optimize for your funnel right now. Now, the main thing you need to focus on first off is your profile, because your profile is the landing page in this funnel, because we don't actually have a main landing page, right? So the profile is the thing that's going to be doing the heavy lifting that the landing page would have to do. And so this is the exact breakdown of what a profile that is properly optimized should look like. Now, a few of you guys might know this, but trust me, this is like, you need to remember this. First off, the first line can be what you actually do. I scale brands and own cool cars. And the number 2 type thing you can do if you're doing B2B or even B2C, right? You can be like founder of XYZ company that brings in a lot of social proof. And on top of that, it lets you use what's called the underground IG page method. Now, this allows you to basically have a second IG page where you have a ton of conversion-based content, bottom of funnel content, that separates the bottom of funnel and top of funnel between your different accounts, so that the most devoted or the most nurtured leads will be able to go to that second IG page and really see the most curated results and pieces of content that you can possibly send them. Now, if you want to get an example of this, you can check out my bio on Instagram. I'll leave a link down below. And you can also check out, what Brez has over here, Brez Marketing and My Friendsheets. And then after that, there is just the CTA that is going to be like, what exactly is the CTA for them to do? What do they have to do? Is it a DM CTA? You could have like DM me XYZ to get XYZ thing. And then otherwise, you could also tell them to click on the link. Now for this funnel, you need to have them click on the link, and this link should be the undercover VSL, which will explain what exactly the undercover VSL is in the next section here. For the profile picture, if you're B2C, make yourself look as normal as possible. If you're B2B, make yourself look as high level as possible with a nice background and everything like that. For the highlights, these are extremely important in the sense that this will basically be all of your social proof, all of your story, everything. Your conversion mechanism is basically your highlights. Highlight 1 should be a CTA highlight. So proof what you do in a CTA. Now you can again check this out on my page, but here Briz does not have this. This is the only thing he is really missing from his life, his highlight strategy, which is just a CTA highlight. Think of it as like a story sequence. If you don't know what a story sequence is, I'll explain that in a second as well. But think of it as like a long ass story sequence where you just need to get them to convert. Highlight number 2 is my story. So this is B2C only. If you're doing B2B, you do not want this. Because if you live the thing, it always sells harder. With B2B though, nobody really cares about your story. They only care about what proof and what results you've gotten for your clients. And so B2B should be skipping lifestyle and just loading results as the client, as the main source of their highlights. Now in this case, Brez has his result in marketing right here, and then he has a ton of lifestyle stuff because that is his personal brand. Life, fits, whips. This gets people to know him and like him a little bit. After which, there's obviously the proof, which is the marketing stuff, and that gets people to trust him. Now, once you're done with that, let's say you don't have any case studies yet, right? You maybe don't have enough proof to actually put up here, which is a common thing, especially if you're getting started. The only thing you really can do is just replace it with stuff that you've done for other people, like results you've gotten. So the best thing would be something like this, where you just have a ton of highlights, like clients. But otherwise, what you can do is that you can just showcase what exactly you've got or done for other people. So for example, a landing page that you made, a YouTube channel that you scaled, a video that got a ton of views, a bank account picture that maybe a client sent you after working with you, saying like, hey, I got X amount, a payment picture, a payment processor screenshot, whatever it really might be, whatever you have and can add to this story highlight, you should be adding if you don't have enough results. Because empty highlights just equals zero trust. All you need to do is avoid having empty highlights, because that again equals zero trust. And that brings us into the 3 pinned posts that you would have on your page. Now, obviously the number can vary, but the main strategies that you really will have with pinned posts is the KLT method. Now, this right here is an example of the KLT method, these 3. There's also the one, like the brand audition one, the brand audition strategy, where you have one reel that has an amalgamation of your entire personal brand in it, what you do here, explaining everything like that. It's usually super edited and usually a viral clip. And every single time you just want to remember that your highlights should be your most best performing pieces of content, just because then people will actually watch them. And then you also have the final one, which is just the single video that gets people to know and like you. So the 2 video strategy, if you don't have something that can get people to trust you, you can just add know and like stuff here, because that's really all that matters when somebody gets onto your personal brand, because your highlights can do the rest of the heavy lifting. Now, in this case, this is Shelby Sapp's pinned post. Now, what she does is that she first off gets people to know her, right? My sales story. This also gets people to like her at the same time. Then there's also the big format that she gets famous for, which is, you know, this talking head style content. And this is one of her best performers at 4.3 million views. And it's also an amalgamation of what her mindset is and the way she looks at the world, with these basically getting people to really know her as a person and not really getting people to like her. So you can think of this as the know video. You can think of the sales story as the like video, and then the trusting video is just 6 sales objections in 60 seconds. Again, a very high performer, and at the same time, it brings in a lot of trust just because, you know, she knows her stuff. She's actually giving you a bunch of sales objections that might be useful for you. You implement them, you use them, and then most of the time you actually get pretty good results with them if you actually implement them. And you can think of this as like the audition. This is your audition before somebody actually gives you the time of day to binge watch your other reels or look through your other stuff, because this is where somebody makes their assumption or makes their understanding and makes up their mind of whether or not they like you or you know, mess with you and your personality as a person. And number 2, whether or not they actually trust you as a human being to do the things or give them the results that they want to get. And that is why these are so important. You just really need to dial these in. Keep on switching them out. If you think you find something that is better, you should always be switching these out for, you know, the newer one and the better one. Now, for real strategy, this is super simple. You can go for either a volume play or a quality play. I always recommend a volume play if you're starting out, if you're a smaller creator, just because volume will negate your luck, in the sense that if you post enough volume, you will eventually get actually better at content, because at this moment you don't have the capability to produce any actual high quality content in the slightest. So it is the highest ROI thing you can possibly do to just post an absurd amount of times throughout your day, throughout your days, right? Quality is objective in the sense that talking heads can also be high quality. A high quality talking head is a talking head with a good idea, a good delivery with multiple takes. That's a high quality talking head. So think of it in that sense, which is that every single type of post will take a certain amount of time. You just need to put out the highest quality plus quantity of content you can possibly do. And I always recommend posting 3 to 5 times a day, at least on trial reels. So trial reels, we'll get into that in another video probably. I'll make a detailed video on it. But all you need to know is that what you can do is that you can change the opacity, change the saturation of a video, repost it 5 times on something called trial reels on Instagram, and then it'll show it to only your non-followers, which means that nobody who's actually in your following will see the videos. And so this will 5 to 10x your reach very, very quickly. So that's the main real strategy that you need to follow. But for the content types, it's top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. Top of funnel is stuff that has a very wide reach, right? So this is like one of TGR's videos where he's talking about mindset, and he's talking about just random crap, especially about his car a lot. This gets a lot of views just because it's very interesting. Oh, rich guys talking about rich guy stuff. I will watch, you know. And then number 2 is middle of funnel stuff, which is just value-based stuff. Now, this is a video I put out. This is more middle of funnel because it gives away an absolute metric ton of value with a CTA at the end to DM me or comment a keyword, and actually I'll send them over XYZ thing, right? And then bottom of funnel is like a client case study, something that, some sort of result that you got for a client. In this case, this is Nick Settings video. And here he was talking about how his client went from, you know, basically having not enough for rent, to finally getting $200,000 months consistently. And this is something you really want to do with the bottom of funnel stuff. Now, this brings us into story sequences. And first thing you need to do is really hook the audience at the beginning with some sort of very out there statement or hook. Now, in this case, Iman, this is an example from Iman who does these really, really well. I actually use this like throughout my videos just because it's a really good example of a good story sequence. At the beginning, he uses the hook, "I haven't been completely honest with you." It's a huge amount of curiosity, which is like, what do you mean you haven't been completely honest with me? What does that exactly mean? Like, what have you been lying to me about? After this, we really just need to load them up with proof while still like egging them on to keep on watching the rest of the stories, because we're maintaining that curiosity. So as you can see right here, this is another part of the same hook. Now, a hook can be 2 frames as well, very easily. Same thing with the proof, right? So these 2 frames are hype and proof at the same time. You need to remember that these first 3 are just a ton of hype, right? Objection handling, proof, and all that hype. Now, in this case, the objection he's handling, by the way, is that he was waiting for the proof to come in. So the objection he's handling here is that there's no proof that this will actually work, blah, 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 all that stuff. And so these 2 are proof and hype, obviously. Another bit of hype. And then finally, there's a CTA, which is just a main call to action that you want for the story sequence, right? At the end here, you can have 2 frames or you can have 1 frame. 2 frames converts generally better, but it also reduces the number of people that watch through the rest of your story, which means that Instagram pushes it less. So pick your poison. If you want higher conversions, you can add 2. If you want more views, then you can pick 1. Now, your goal here with this section is that you should be able to, at this point, get a profile that converts a stranger that has never heard of you. You should be posting 3 to 5 times a day across top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom funnel, and posting high quality stuff. And then finally, story sequences should be running daily. Now that brings us into section number 3, which is YouTube and the undercover VSL. The way you need to think about this is as follows. Instagram cannot fulfill the 7-11-4 rule that we mentioned at the beginning. So what do we need? We need the closer over here, which is YouTube. Now, this more so is the nurturer, not the closer. Instagram is the closer because you're always bringing them over back into Instagram to actually close, right? In this sense, what happens is that this nurtures your audience, right? There's always a call link in the bio. Now, other times they might come back to you on Instagram and then DM you, and then you can convert them from there. But the main conversion mechanism is over here on YouTube, where you have the bio link that goes into YouTube. It funnels them in here. They binge watch a ton of your videos, and then they eventually want to book in a call with you. That's the basic system that goes into this. Now, for the undercover VSL, the thing that actually allows people to transfer from your Instagram to YouTube, it has to be absolutely chock full of value. So much value that people want to watch more of your videos. And the 4th tenets that you really need to follow is the Miro board should be on screen. There should be a face cam in the corner with educational framing, which means like giving value, and then 0 editing, no salesiness, nothing. Something similar to this, right? Very basic, very simple. Now, what you can make in terms of content on YouTube is breakdowns. So you can take somebody who does well in your space. For example, I do coaches, but if you're doing, let's say, website building, you can look at the biggest websites in your space and you can audit them, break them down, what exactly makes these work. And then after that, you can have case studies, which is like case studies from clients, video testimonials, all that stuff, in the sense that you can break down what exactly you did for a certain client and just entire walkthroughs of that system. And then finally, there's system walkthroughs, which is just your own systems and breaking down those things for giving away more value to other people, right? That's the main thing. You want to make it so that you have a ton of breakdowns because these are top funnel, and then a ton of system walkthroughs. And then you really want to be very careful with the amount of case studies that you have, just because bottom of funnel burnout can happen in the sense that if you have too many bottom of funnel videos, people are just going to get tired of it and not going to watch your videos, and then that's going to reduce your engagement and you will start dropping off in terms of revenue. Now, for every single video, you need one CTA, and it's going to be just a link in the description every single video. Now, for example, you can click the link in the description of this video and book in a call with me one-on-one where I'm going to audit your business. It's called a business audit call, and we're going to go ahead and hop on for 45 minutes. I'll audit your business, see what your biggest bottleneck is. We'll solve it together on the call because I like giving value first. That's what I believe in. And then after that, you're going to ask me to pitch you. I'll pitch you, and then we'll see what happens from there. All right. Anyways, the goal for this section is that you should be posting one YouTube video per week minimum. The undercover VSL format, so more Miro board, face cam, no editing, with an educational frame, and then every video should end with one CTA, and you can also add a extra CTA in the middle like I did here because not everybody's going to watch through the rest of it. Then we move into outreach. Now, for outreach, a lot of people go straight into cold outreach, which is retarded because warm first. You need to go for warm first because that is why you've built your organic audience. You have a ton of warm leads that want to pay you, want to work with you. So why would you go into these cold ass people that don't even know you, right? First thing you need to do is really dial in warm outreach. So for example, here, like this is the kind of flow that you want to follow. Hey X, appreciate the follow. How's X going? So what exactly you do, right? Let's say you have an e-com business. You're an e-com coach. You can say, how's the e-com business going? Good, thanks. Been following for a bit. Or they might say, I don't have one right now, blah, 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 all that stuff. You still get more information about them. You need to make this as casual and simple as possible. Nice, are you looking to start Y, or are you already doing it? Trying to get my first few clients. And then after that, you can CTA. Now, this is a very basic example. I would honestly just add, 3 to 4 messages where you're just going back and forth, understanding this client's pain. And then eventually, when they're like really high pain, once you really poke their pain points, once you understand them deeply enough, you can eventually, around the 7th or 8th message, you can just CTA them. Main thing is just opening with curiosity, unearthing their pains, and then dropping the link once they're ready. And only once you've dialed this in, once you've hit your entire audience and you're consistently doing this with the system, like if you have a system for the setup and you're consistently doing this, you can only then add cold. Now for cold outreach, it's very simple. Like this is like the kind of spoke wheel you want to follow. Followers are the warmest. So these are the warmest people. You want to follow all of your, outreach to all of your followers, number one. Then there's the real likes. Now you don't have access to these, but there's actually a few softwares that allow you to see these. Now these people are very, very, very high quality. And then there's story replies as well. This might be flipped around. Real likes is actually all the way over here. There's story replies and then comment engagers over here. Cool. So story replies is the next warmest. Then there's comment engagers. Very simple. And then finally, real likes are all over here. Only once you've dialed in all of these different warm people, right, to the point where, they're all outreach to consistently, only then you add cold outreach, because this is the scale layer. This is what you add after the warm outreach actually converts or starts working well. So your goal here is to be DMing every new follower and post engager every single day. You should be able to dial in your warm conversation flow. So curiosity open, unearth the pain, drop the link. Cold outreach should be only added as the scale layer once the warm is actually converted. So that dials this in for warm outreach and cold outreach. But this is what you have to do for scale, which is setters, closers, and scale. That's section number 5. One thing you really need to understand is what you keep versus what you actually hand off. There's a few things that you really need to keep. Content and closing. Now, this may be counterintuitive. You might be like, oh my God, I really want to dial in my closing. I want to outreach it or outsource it. But founder-led closing will quite literally double your close rates. It's insanity for some founders. Other founders, at least 20% increase. So it doesn't make any sense for you to outsource closing, especially if you're under 100K a month. If you're under 100K a month, it makes no sense for you to get a closer. The only thing you really want to hand off is outreach and setting specifically. That is why you only want to dial in setters. KPIs you want to track for setters is super simple. You just want to track their DMs sent per day, calls booked per week, a close rate, and their show rate. Now we have a software to track all of this for our clients in the program, but if you're doing this from home, you can just set up a simple Excel sheet, set up an EOD, right, end of day, where basically the setter tracks everything that they did for the day and logs it into that sheet. You can go ahead and hop on calls with them every week where they can guide you through what they did, blah, blah, blah. And just keeping track of what exactly they're doing is imperative. And then your goal here is just having a setter hired once the outreach volume exceeds what you can handle. 4 KPIs should be tracked every single week: DM sent, calls booked, show rate, close rate, and you should stay on content and closing until about 30K plus per month. Now, again, if you do want to go ahead and work with me to build out this entire system for your own coaching business, I'll leave a link in the description for you to hop on that call. Go ahead and book it in. You'll see this calendar right here. You'll be able to book in a time, whichever one works for you. So in any case, thanks for watching the video. Hope you got a ton of value from it. And again, I'll leave the link for the call in the description below. If you want to DM me on Instagram, ask me any questions about this stuff, the link for that is also in the description below. So hoping to see you in one of these videos on screen as well. Have a good one. Peace.